All right, this is an exciting episode of the Collector Car Podcast. If you like James Bond and or if you like Aston Martins. So I'm going to talk to Joe Kaminkow, who created his own Aston Martin DB5, just like the one in Goldfinger. And he will talk all about it in his history with video games. And then we will talk to Tom Jones with the Keeneland Concours Elegance, where this car will be featured. So I will be down there on Saturday, July the 19th to check out this incredible DB5 as well as the other cars on presentation there. Now, as always, I've got a fun song. This is an Aston Martin James Bond song. So listen to about 30 seconds of it. And then if you would like to hear the entire song, just go to the end of this episode. And if you go to my YouTube channel or Spotify and look up Octane FM, I've got a playlist of about 80 cool car songs.
Gunmetal gray like a storm on the breeze. Leather and steel built to thrill and to tease. License to roar and secrets to keep. It whispers danger while the whole world sleeps. From the Alps to the Riviera coast, chasing villains.
RM Sotheby's is the world's largest collector car auction house by total sales. They are the preeminent market maker of high-quality collector cars and collections, regardless of size or complexity. By working in partnership with the Sotheby's team and its network of 80 offices in 40 countries, RM Sotheby's has established the largest client network of any collector car auction house in the world. Join the RM Sotheby's family by connecting with one of their car specialists at rmsotheby's.com or contact me directly at gstanley@rmsotheby's.com.
Okay, I'm excited about this next guest because it goes back into my childhood, back when I played video games. But we're going to talk about the Aston Martin DB5. But first off, I'd like to welcome Joe. Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
Hey, so you made this incredible Aston Martin DB5 James Bond car. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about your history, because I read up on you, and Joust was one of my favorite video games growing up. Obviously, some really iconic stuff you worked on. So tell us a little bit about your history and then your love for Aston Martins.
Well, I started at Williams Electronics around 1981, making video games and pinball machines. My first pinball was Defender Pinball after the video game. And then probably very iconic Space Shuttle Pinball around 1984. Left there and went to work for a Japanese company called Data East. They did Karate Champ and Kung Fu Master and Burger Time. And we started the mechanical game division in Chicago doing pinball machines and novelty games. Spent the better part of the next 16 years creating pinball machines, video games, and arcade games. Left there in 99 and went and ran IGT, design and engineering, the largest gaming company in the world at the time. Spent another 15 years there making games like Wheel of Fortune, Slot Machine, if you've been to Vegas, and a variety of other licensed brands from Star Wars to I Love Lucy and Hangover and Sex and the City. And then spent a year developing a series of social apps that Zynga bought. Harry Potter Match Game and Hit It Rich and Wizard of Oz. And then went and joined Aristocrat Gaming, who was the fifth largest gaming company in the world at the time I joined them, and now they're the largest.
Wow.
So still making games. So my background is mechanical games, video games, and other types of games.
And where does the love for James Bond come into? Because I know your history in video games and mechanical stuff really helped you in that build. But tell us, where's the desire to build a James Bond GoldenEye Aston Martin come from?
Well, it comes from a couple things. First off, I've made a series of James Bond pinball machines throughout the years. And like any guy, there's those iconic movies for our generation, whether it be Jaws or Star Wars or Rocky or, of course, so many James Bonds, whether it be the Roger Moore Spy Who Loved Me James Bond or the Sean Connery, who most people think is the, quintessential James Bond. And I'm also a car collector. So I have a unique car collection. And just before the pandemic, Aston Martin came out with a continuation car. We were doing 25 James Bond style rebuilds of the classic DB5, but none of them intended to be street legal. I guess if you're, in Dubai and you own the roads, you can drive whatever you want. But the car was a multi-million-dollar build, and throughout the years growing up, I saw DeLoreans and Batmobiles at the Autoramas type of shows, and they're probably I've seen a few DB5s at like the Spy Museum or at the Peterson. Really never seen one in the wild. It's a rarity, especially in the States. And when the pandemic hit, I was reading all about this continuation car, and I was like, wow, you could spend all that money and not be able to drive it on the road. What fun would that be? So I kind of dug into what they had done and realized that they did a great effort for what a manufacturer could do. And they had a small team that put together these cars, but I thought I could do a better job knowing the tech. And it's really heady of me to say such a thing, but I think I could be a little more bespoke with my friends who were all sort of sitting home, not doing too much during the pandemic or not as busy as they normally would be, and figured, what the heck, we'll start this project. And I found a used right-hand drive Aston Martin DB5. It was a kind of a day driver through a friend of mine from the Ian Fleming Foundation, and met a couple other fellows out of Boston that had the car, and realized that it would probably be a project that would be worthy of seeing what I could do with it to make it a little bit better than what they had done at Aston Martin, and decided to build a computer system to control the car, created video games for it, and a lot of content for it. It's not your average car. As a matter of fact, the whole car is controlled by an app. You can control it from your iPhone or your iPhone watch.
Yeah, it's a tremendous build. I saw it for the first time at Amelia, and the crowd was just totally around it the entire time. And then I just happened to be visiting with Tom and Connie, talking about the Keeneland Concours, and I go to their warehouse, and he wanted to show me that car firsthand. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is absolutely stunning. I purposely did not look at it closely at the Cincinnati Concours, and unfortunately we had some rain, but it was front and center there. And I
Yeah.
know there was a big crowd around it the whole time as well. So I really wanted to save my deep dive with you at Keeneland. And so we have Tom on this podcast as well, going over the details of Keeneland. It's really kind of making the rounds right now. I know that it debuted at the Quail, was that right, last year? And then it went to Vegas?
We showed it at Quail, and then we showed it, and we're one of the Win Concours. And actually before that, we took it to SEMA, where it won its class, which is really unusual for a foreign car, and probably should have won it all. And then it's going to make a few more stops after Tom's. It's going to go to a friend of mine with Michael Milk and a guy named Larry Ruvo for the Ruvo Center. They're doing a fundraiser with classic cars and boats in Lake Tahoe in early August. Then we'll go back to the peninsula, the Carmel area. It will be shown at Aston's on the Avenue. The car will make its way back to Vegas. We may put it in the Wynn Casino the week before the Concours there, and potentially the Fontainebleau for F1, and then it will retire from public.
Nice. Okay. That's quite a schedule you have going on now. I just wanted to cover some of the exterior gadgets. So a lot of stuff you have that's functional on this car: the ballistic carbon fiber bulletproof rear shield, front and rear battering rams, twin front propane fuel firing machine guns, front and rear revolving license plate, rear smoke screen, rear oil slick delivery system, rear dispense tire puncturing spikes, which you had those on display at the Concours.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Stimulated tire slashers at each wheel, removable passenger seat roof panel, rear radar wing mirror. So really amazing. So the tire slashers, are those?
Oh, don't forget the ejector seat.
Oh, the ejector seat, because you got the hole through the roof, so you got to have the ejector seat as well, right?
And then it has inside. It also has a computer that controls where all the maps and everything are. The door opens and closes. It's got the bulletproof. It's got the armament tray under the front seat, and it's got the radio phone in the door. It's got hidden gold Krugerrands or not Krugerrand, it's actually called Sovereigns, underneath the front glove box, not glove box, the center console. And then that's where all the controls are. And then past that is the little radar thing, little tracking homing device is in there. So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. And then you made a Magic 007 Magic Ball as well, and apparently a bunch of video games in that screen, correct?
Yeah, it'll do a slot machine. It'll play a kind of a version of our own version of Spy Hunter using the touch screen. It'll play a Bond trivia game, a bunch of Bond videos. Actually, even on the above the driver's side, the wind visor, the sun visor, has a little hidden 8 and a heart, which is the last card number that Goldfinger played in his card game in Fountain Blue. That's on that. There are a lot of Easter eggs on the car.
So if you would like to see this car in person, go to the Keeneland Concours Elegance. It's worth it to see this car by itself, much less everything else that's going on that weekend. The other thing I just wanted to ask you, I know that you had Kevin Kay do the work for the Aston Martin, but then I also know it took a lot more work after that in which to make it all functional, correct? And
yes,
your skill from your past really helped out with that, didn't it?
Yeah, we had about 50 people all told worked on this car over the course of 2.5 to 3.5 years. Electrical engineers, programmers, artists, a couple Red Dot winning mechanical engineers and industrial designers. Whipsaw out of California did a lot of the industrial engineering. So it's not just kind of, it's not stuff that's kind of hacked and whacked in somebody's garage. This is really beautifully engineered, graceful design.
Yeah, it is an absolutely stunning car. So, first off, thank you for building it. Second of all, thank you for sharing it. And I know the kids love it. If there's one thing that you would say the kids love the most about it from your Concours tour here, what is it? Is it the smoke? Is it, is there something that kids really freak out over?
Oh, the machine guns is one, of course, and then standing in the back and getting smoked or getting the water sprayed on you from the oil sprayers, kind of fun. But it's just it's a complete package, and this is the only time the cars can ever be in Kentucky. So if you want to see it, we brought it in specifically for the Concours. It's going to be shown in the evening before at the party, at the hangar party. So if you want a more intimate, close look at it, that'll be a great place to see it. And then, of course, it'll be on display the day of the Concours. It is the most expensive Aston Martin DB5 in the world. It's the best engineered Aston Martin DB5, and it was restored to Concours level by Kevin Kay. And Walter, who's the general manager of Kevin Kay, is flying in for our event along with his son, who works with him. The car is a magnificent car. Even if you didn't know all the other things were in there, there was never an Aston Martin DB5 that looked this good coming out of the factory.
Yeah.
I mean, the lines, the gaps, everything about it is just, if you love James Bond, if you love Aston Martins, don't miss it.
Awesome, Joe. Well, thanks for being on the Collector Car Podcast.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you all there.
Hey, it's great. We got Tom Jones with us again to talk about the Keeneland Concours Elegance. Tom, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful. A little on the warm side, but not bad. We're going to make it.
Yeah. It's very, very hot. I had to take my Toyota and the AC went out. So that's what I was doing this morning, unfortunately. So,
oh, boy.
Well, it's great to have you on the podcast again.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, you talked about your passion for Maseratis, and we talked about the Keeneland Concours before. And that's coming up in a couple weeks here. So if you would, we're going to talk about a really special Aston Martin here in a second. But if you would, give us an overview of Keeneland and kind of your involvement with it. And like, as if someone's never been to it, what can they expect?
I'll give you the elevator pitch. How's that?
Sure.
In our 22nd year, supporting the Kentucky Children's Hospital, we get to enjoy our passion for automobiles and then do some good works. We've surpassed the $1 million mark for the Children's Hospital last year, so that's been a great milestone. As you know, I've been involved with cars all my life. One of the highlights to me was being president of the Classic Car Club of America And it seemed like my favorite saying that developed out of the 9 years on the board and 2 years as president was, come for the cars, but stay for the people. And it's I know you experience this because you hang out with gearheads all the time. And if you were on the side of the road and you were in that Mustang behind you, I bet you there's 5 guys that stop and say, hey, we got to help this guy. It's just kind of a unspoken club. And when you have events like the Keeneland Concours and that type of thing, you get a great environment for people to get together. You give them opportunities to mingle and mix and enjoy time with each other, with friends that you've had for a long time and new friends that you're going to have for a long time. So in that mindset, we've always tried to be Concours Yes. We put 300 park benches out in the shade trees. We try to encourage, things that allow people to interact and that type of thing. And because to me, that's where it's at. We've lost 2 icons of the club, not only of the Classic Car Club, but of the entire hobby. Gene Perkins passed several days ago, and then David Schultz passed also a few days after that. Both presidents of the Classic Car Club of America, both esteemed judges for many, many years of their life. And one of the funnest things that I've ever seen in 22 years with this event is we put what we call the Fast and Furious class on purpose next to the guys that have the Class 4 and Class 3 Classic Car Club of America, and then the custom body ones. And as a matter of fact, it was Gene that after the first time that they showed up to the event 5 years ago, Gene goes, "What are those people doing here?" And I go, "Gene, squint and tell me what you see." And Gene says, I just see a bunch of kids that don't understand the cars and all that kind of stuff. I said, "Gene, that was you like 50 years ago. When you first discovered cars, it's like, oh man, I got to get one of those." And it was a Model T or a Model A or whatever it was. And then you discovered Packards, and look at where you are now. And those people have as much passion about their automobiles as we have, through mid years, hence young timers, hence that whole movement, and the older guys. So I think it's that same passion. It's just displayed in different ways. It's displayed with a Type R, or it's displayed with a Packard, or it's displayed with we have Lamborghini as our guest mark. And as far as automobiles go, I mean, that came to the party late, right? I mean, they didn't make the conversion from tractors to automobiles until later in the whole scheme of things here. So it's kind of cool to get all that in one big mash in a beautiful setting at Keeneland. As you know, we also have carriages. And carriages, I think, are important to this story because people are amazed when they find out that Studebaker actually made more Conestoga wagons than they ever made of automobiles. And a lot of the Fisher and all the body work that we kind of see, as we saw as kids, on the side of cars, it's like, well, what does that mean? Why does it have a little carriage on the Fisher? Well, because they made carriages, right? So it's very interesting to be able to share that with people and have a lot of the carriages next to automobiles that, those guys moved on in life and said, I think we're going to stop making carriages in this newfangled thing like the internet. Where's that going to go? 8-track, whatever. Yeah. And they jumped on board, and a lot of them are still with us.
Well, it's really cool because I love Keeneland for a lot of different reasons. One is you and your lovely wife, obviously, and everybody that's down there, super friendly, great time to hang out. I love the Keeneland setup. I mean, it's just you have so much green space out in front of the historic racetrack. And not only do you have cool benches, and you got the cool cars set up in a nice way, you also have all the local clubs come in. And so you have so much space that you could look at 100 cars outside of, quote unquote, the actual official Concours event.
Yes.
And then, like you said, you kind of have the evolution of the automobile, but you also have the evolution evolution of the car enthusiast. So
Yes.
you have wagons up until today's hottest cars, right? But then you also
Right.
have the Gene Perkins, I met him at your concours,
Great
who,
man.
yeah,
Wonderful, lovely man.
what was he, probably in his early 80s when he passed recently?
89.
89. Yeah.
Great
So
ride.
you are bringing guys that are 89 to the car show, but then you're also bringing the Fast and the Furious crowd, the ones that I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, you had this class of crazy cars, GTR, R32, R33. You
Yep.
had some heavily modified, Japanese cars. And from the outside looking in, even the inside looking in, you might be like, well, why is that car here? And it comes down to the passion of the enthusiast, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's, in my humble opinion, I I think that there can be a case made for that was the very original Parisian Concours d'Elegance mindset. Anyhow, here's the very best that we can put forward, and it's stylistically, it's magnificent. From a mechanical point of view, it's magnificent, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's a sector of car guys out there that absolutely. I mean, when's the last time you looked at an NSX? Under the hood, in the engine bay. I mean, it's like the engineering's magnificent. The castings are magnificent, and so I mean, there's a lot of things that are out there, like the new Lexuses that are. I mean, Bat is doing a wonder, not to plug that, but I mean, Bat's doing a wonderful job of spreading that whole young timers thing, because you're seeing numbers being posted on cars quite frankly, you go, you know what, that would buy two Packards and maybe a Cadillac thrown in for good measure or whatever. I mean, turning into very, very high dollar cars because people have that passion for that time, an LFX or whatever it is, or that whole genre of automobiles that are if money doesn't always equal respect. Okay, that's not a true statement, but
Right.
it does sometimes measure passion. So somebody was excited enough about paying, six figures for a twin turbo Supra. It's like, what? And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's, if you start looking at the lines, you start looking at the engineering in that thing, it's like, wow, hot car. And I think that
So
has a place in our environment.
it absolutely does, for sure. So if you would kind of go over the schedule. So it starts on, let's see, you can go to KeenelandConcours.com and you can check out all the different events. Let's start with Friday night. Now, what do we have going on Friday night?
Actually, you have to show up a day before that to go to an event. On Thursday, actually pretty much Thursday all day, we have a bourbon tour. And, this event is kind of like, it's about all things Kentucky. So you can't really mention Kentucky without mentioning bourbon. And so we have a unbelievable, we try to make these experiences that you just can't walk in and buy and all that kind of stuff. So we are one of the guys involved with this, Jay Swishenberg. He's a fantastic guy, also a bourbon aficionado, has been getting up very early every Saturday for the last 2 months and going down to a specific distillery, waiting for them to open, getting his one bottle of allocated bourbon per Saturday, so that's going to be part of the swag, so to speak, is this really, quite frankly, rare bottle of bourbon that Jay has been sending 2.5, 3 months or whatever, collecting as much as he can, one per visit. And so that's part of the gift bag, to our participants. We get a behind the scenes tour with the master distiller. We're going to another place that we are actually going to blend our own bottles of bourbon from the
Wow.
from the barrel with the thief, and all that kind of stuff, and you mix it. I like a little bit more of this, I like a little bit more of that, or whatever the deal is. And there's going to be very intimate small groups of 4 or 5 that make those decisions for that bottle, and you get to walk out of the place with 3 bottles or whatever of that bourbon that you have literally crafted yourself. My biggest challenge at this stage of the game, because I have so much fun of it doing it, is that we make a label And 2 years ago, I thought it was very appropriate that we had the name of the bourbon was Old, O-L-D-E, Old Rusty Nuts. Now, for a bunch of car guys, how could it not be labeled that, right? So we have to outdo that. So that's Thursday. Friday, we have a hangar bash. It's an air-conditioned hangar, by the way, at a place called R.J. Corman Companies. He was the largest owner, private owner of railroad in the United States, and their headquarters is here in Nicholasville, Kentucky, just right down the road from us here in Lexington. So we've got 10 outstanding automobiles. All the cool cars will park outside. We've got a Learjet 206, a 406 or 7, I forget, Bell helicopter, a bunch of cool aircraft that are inside the hangar and all that kind of stuff. So that's Friday night. Saturday night, or Saturday day, is our concours. And it's always been Saturday because as somebody who still works, I could always figure out how to get Friday off, but I always had a hard time figuring out how to take Monday off. So we have our event on Saturday, so it gives you a day to drive back, park the car back in the garage and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't had enough by Saturday, we have a tour to Elegance, which a lot of people say the roads are the most magnificent, on this side of the Mississippi kind of deal. And it's these wonderful roads that go through horse farms, and a lot of people compare it to Ireland, and there's a lot of horse farms, and the horses are out in the field, and it's just a beautiful place. So it gives us the opportunity to share a little bit of Kentucky with people that may or may not have had the time or the opportunity to drive through these places. So and of course we have a nice lunch and all that kind of stuff. So that's our 4-day event in a nutshell, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful event. I've been, I think, 3 years now. Had to miss last year. Unfortunately, it just absolutely killed me. So wonderful event. The roads around there are fantastic for the tour. You guys do such a great job on that.
Yeah.
And everything's just absolutely spectacular. So again, go to KeenelandConcours.com. But Tom, as always, thanks for being on the Collector Car Podcast.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and stay cool.
To thrill and to tease, license to roar and secrets to keep. It whispers danger.